All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a new bombshell that came out in the Epstein files surrounding Epstein potentially being the person, the force behind Bitcoin. Read this. Ghislaine, the Satoshi pseudonym is working perfectly. Our little digital gold mine is ready for the world. Funding secured. Titled Project Bitcoin Funding and White Paper, October 31st, 2008. But look at this. As you may or may not know, the pseudonym or the mysterious force behind Bitcoin goes by Satoshi Nakamoto, just like Epstein said. The pseudonym is working, right? But look when the white paper was published, October 31st, 2008, just like the date of that email, which reminded me of this absolutely incredible clip that has aged like the finest of wines.
If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
One day.
And a microsecond, whoop, like that.
I don't think anyone had any specific names that would have came to mind when seeing that clip years ago, but given the context of this, his reaction is 100% justified. If that is true, once again, this is all for entertainment purposes. None of this will be taken seriously. It's all hypothetical and for educational and entertainment purposes. So let's continue. When we look into the history here and the significant moments within the release of Bitcoin, we also see something very interesting here. The first real-world purchase, May 22nd, 2010, was on Bitcoin Pizza Day. Bitcoin Pizza Day. You know, like Pizzagate and the vindication of all people who have been called crazy conspiracy theorists throughout the years for investigating and bringing light to Pizzagate, as now in this recent email drop too, we get emails such as this. This is better than a Chinese cookie. See attached file. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand. What the fuck does that mean? Or another one like this. Spoof on the chandelier. The video I sent you with the amazing little girl dance. Totally loved it. Pizza party was great. Had a lot of fun. Stayed late. What is going on here? Maybe Bobby just really wanted pizza? Or this is the coding that we see for years throughout all these email links referring to sex trafficking, more specifically of children. Now here's just a little context for the Pizzagate emails that came out with an Anthony Weiner's laptop and John Podesta's. This one being one of the most glaring, obvious examples. I think Obama spent about $65,000 of taxpayers' money flying in pizza and hot dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House. I mean, come on guys, what the fuck are we talking about here? Or what about this? I'm dreaming about your hot dog stand in Hawaii. Huh? I mean, we all know Joe Biden loved ice cream. It was on the news. It was on everything. It was a joke, right? Even Obama talking about how much he loves ice cream. Well, look at this one. I consider ice cream, its purchase, and its consumption a rather serious business. I mean, guys, this is clearly a code word for something. And now we're seeing it linked very clearly to Epstein and the child sex trafficking. If this ain't vindication, I don't know what is. Now, isn't it just fascinating, such a coincidence that Hillary Clinton is now back in the limelight, back in the spotlight as a hero supporting the protesters against ICE, just days before the Epstein files drop that are now vindicating all the Pizzagate emails that were in Hillary Clinton's inbox. Talk about saving face. I think that's all 100% completely calculating. Knowing this is going to be dropping, get her back as the face of the good guys, right? When all of these things are now pointing back to her in the very wicked and disturbing emails that were in there. If you guys aren't familiar with the Frazzle Drip film in those emails, look it up. But I warn you, it is quite gruesome, and these are directly pulled from the Hillary Clinton email leak. Just a warning there. And just to touch on one more email from that 2016 Pizzagate drop, this was what Hillary sent to Obama. Dear Barack, when we began the pizza arrangement, I thought we were going to be more careful than this. Operating from the White House is not what I originally had in mind. Remember that hot dogs can come, but if you make a spectacle out of it, that will be our downfall. Let's use our noggins here, guys. Now, I'd like to touch on this because, as we know, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a decentralized form of payment that sort of can't be tracked. It can be very anonymous and all that, which reminds us that it's not well known, but Jeffrey Epstein had a chairman role in this company here, which pioneered the first untraceable money wiretaps. And let's just take a look at what else this company was doing. That company being the Lifeboat Foundation, safeguarding humanity. Well, what are they doing to safeguard us, you ask? Let's take a look. Oh, Life Shield bunkers, giant underground bunkers. Very interesting. We know Epstein had that on his island, and just days before the raid on his compound there was several explosions picked up underground, and also giant ventilation shafts that were on top of this island there, which would be powering and supplying air to God knows how big of a landmass underground there. Now, we all know that there's been these bunkers around the world everywhere that has to do with human trafficking and secret experiments going on. Just look at Epstein's Zorro Ranch and the crazy experiments that were going on there, including cloning. Even furthermore, look at this. They're doing space habitats. If all else fails on Earth and they can't protect us, they're going to be taking the elite who can, afford this insane stuff to space and getting them off planet before they're, probably prosecuted and exposed for doing all this fucked up shit that they've been doing. And if Jeffrey Epstein really is Satoshi Nakamoto and the founder of Bitcoin, it's quite fitting that the company that he was on the board and the chairman of is strictly, partnered with the Bitcoin Foundation and Bitcoin Magazine, an untraceable cryptocurrency from a company that pioneered money transfers that cannot be tracked. Quite fitting if you're selling humans and running a sex trade. You don't want anyone to have any trace of that, right? Now, before I continue on with Lifeboat, because there's one more interesting point that I want to point out, well, let's leave for a little treat for the end, is the fact that if he is Nakamoto, if Jeffrey Epstein is the guy behind Bitcoin, then who is Hal Finney, right? Well, let's take a look. Now, I just want to emphasize that I am not saying that Hal Finney or Phil Zimmermann, who we'll talk about after, is involved in this stuff in any way. I'm just connecting the dots based on the information that we have. So Hal Finney here, who was a part of the very first transfer from Satoshi Nakamoto, Jeffrey Epstein, to Hal Finney, worked for this company called PGP Corporation. Now, PGP here, who was founded by Phil Zimmermann, who we'll touch on later, created products such as this. As you see, pretty good privacy was originally used to allow individuals to communicate securely through bulletin boards. And, in layman's terms, making encrypted and untraceable private chat rooms, which would really fit this narrative of what is going on between Jeffrey Epstein and all his sick and twisted elite customers. Now, Phil Zimmermann here, the founder, was also involved in some other companies which really go down this exact same path of secrecy and untraceable chat rooms. These just being some of the companies here. Very interesting name considering this whole email thing. Dark Mail Alliance. The goal of the organization is to work on a new protocol to replace PGP that will encrypt email metadata, among other things that PGP is not capable of. So essentially a souped up version of this encryption software. As you see down here too, there's a privacy friendly alternative existing social networks, especially to Facebook, that's harder to track and more private and secluded to you and the person that you are strictly talking to. Now, I'm not saying they all know each other or they even knew Epstein at all, but the fact that they are behind and work for a company that has these encrypted chat rooms really suits the narrative of Jeffrey Epstein. And if Jeffrey Epstein is Mr. Nakamoto there, Satoshi, then it would make sense how they may possibly know each other if they helped each other within their secretive communications and transferring of money. Now, one last part here on the Lifeboat Foundation. Let's just take a look at that logo. Does that remind you of anything? That's like the Bikini Bottom logo from SpongeBob, right? Just how if you were to search up 124 Kong Street Bikini Bottom on Google Earth, unfortunately you can't do it anymore. It's now been censored and you don't have the ability to do it. But I remember doing this years ago. This would take you directly to Epstein Island. The island that has a very striking resemblance to the Nickelodeon logo. The Nickelodeon that has so much controversy when it comes to the abuse of children and stars and the trafficking and rape of those children. And, never mind their symbolism that they hide in plain sight there for years. Now, I urge you, don't take this all at face value from me. Once again, entertainment purposes and educational purposes. Take what resonates and leave behind what doesn't. I encourage you to do your own research and come to your own conclusions based on that research. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.